Welcome again to another episode of Limitless. I am so super excited. I'm your host, Derrick Grissom, and we are here for another impactful episode of Limitless. As you know, Limitless is a podcast that is for educating the community. I have different guests who are influential in the community who come on and they share their experiences so that they can motivate you to be the best version of yourself. And I am super excited because I have one of my good friends on who's also influential in the community, Miss Melissa Mims. Melissa, how are you?
Hello, Derrick. How are you?
I am amazing. And you're going to hear, I want to give Melissa a couple of minutes to kind of give an overview of her background, but she's a bad sister. Let me tell you, she does a lot in the community. She is the public relations director out there in Rockdale County. But in addition to that, she has her own nonprofit for young girls. And she just does a lot. So I just want her to give her a quick overview of who she is and what she does, and then we're going to dig into some questions so that I can pull some good information out of her to impact the rest of you. Melissa, talk to me.
First of all, thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be a guest on your show.
Absolutely.
But who am I? I really have to start because this really is the foundation of who I am. I'm the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Johnny Teamer from Albany, Georgia. I am the fifth girl out of eight siblings, one dad and mom right there in the same household. And that's really the core of my foundation as far as who I am.
And a blessing.
And a blessing. So blessed to have both my parents still here. So yes, I am the public relations director for Rockdale County, but so much more than that. I give so much of my time to the community. You mentioned my nonprofit, Showtime Pros. So it's really just for youth, not just the girls in the community. I actually started with boys hosting a football tournament. So I have that nonprofit to develop youth, to make sure that we can have experiences and programs that help develop them and center them more towards family engagement. So I offer programs that bring the whole family together.
That is nice. So talk to us about what that looks like from a mentorship standpoint, because one of the themes for one of the episodes was mentorship and how mentorship plays a part with young people. I know that you are a mentor to many because I see it, but I want to hear from you. Talk to me about mentorship and how you mentor young people, male or female.
Okay. So one of my roles has been the PTA president. I currently serve as the PTA president for my children's high school, but I used to be over the whole council. In serving as a PTA president, when you're in schools, you see a lot of gaps. The teachers have concerns, the students have concerns, the administrators have concerns. And so it takes partnerships. And so with that partnership, my nonprofit, we help host these programs and so forth. So our first program that we host was a football tournament for Little League football players. It's a tournament where football teams come from all over the Southeast and they play in what you call a turkey bowl. So whoever has the best record end up being the turkey bowl champions. But part of that though, the whole purpose of that is to teach sportsmanship, because we want our young guys to know what it's like to win or lose with the right temperament. So it's important to me that we host a tournament. A lot of times you hear a lot of negative when it comes to sports and so forth. So I wanted a tournament that allows the family to come out. It requires them to act with great sportsmanship and teach the kids and so forth how to do that as well. And so that's how it first started with Showtime Pros, that for our first event. But being in the school system, hearing what the teachers and the parents said that they needed more of. The schools can't do everything themselves, so it takes partners and so forth. So that was one of our first events with Showtime Pros.
Wow. Now, Showtime Pros, I just went to one of your events. I'm going to be honest with you. I just learned something.
What?
I honestly thought Showtime Pros was only geared towards young ladies. I did not know that Showtime Pros inception started with the young guys, and at the end of the day, it's a mixture of both. So let's stay on the guys for a minute, because I think that's important, especially young men. Oftentimes they don't have the type of role models and the positive reinforcement to keep them in line. Oftentimes. Talk to me a little bit about how that program you just talked about is helping transition some of these guys who may not always have that discipline, because I think that's important.
So I pray and hope that through our tournament and so forth, and even participating in football, that they're getting mentoring from their coaches and so forth, that they're learning how to be a team player, they're learning how to work through their emotions and so forth. That's very important. Sometimes our guys are going through so much, so you need an outlet for your aggression. So through sports and through learning that team camaraderie, they have an outlet to be themselves, but to be competitive as well. That started because early on my son was on a non-performing or underdeveloped football team, and I was told that in order for them to participate in postseason tournaments, that they have to have a certain record or so forth. And I was like, no, our kids deserve to participate even if they don't have the best records. They may want to show off what they've learned throughout the season and so forth. So I created that tournament so that they can show their skills at the end. And it started out, you got to know that I was only, probably at the time that I created, one of the only female tournament directors in Georgia at the time. So dealing with a lot of adversity, and people and guys, some guys saying as well that this is something that couldn't be done, or what does she know, why are we going to support? So even with guys, I wanted to show them that it doesn't matter what people say. If you have a goal in mind, you can complete it. And that's something that throughout the program, no matter whether you a guy or a girl, whether it's the football tournament or the debutante program or the cheer program that I've done, you can be whatever you want to be, no matter what they say.
And that is why you are on this program. You just epitomize what Limitless is all about. Your potential is limitless. Who are you to put a limitation on me?
Right.
I love that.
Right.
So now talk to us about, because the event I went to with Showtime a few weeks ago was geared towards the females. So talk to us about the young ladies and how you're helping transform their lives.
So our young ladies are seeing so much nowadays. You have social media that's an influence. You have your hip hop shows. You have your music and all. And so we wanted something. They deserve choices. They deserve experiences. And the Showtime Pros Debutante Experience was created for just that reason. Oftentimes we get gifts for Christmas or our birthdays, and we never remember what we received on our 5th birthday or our 10th birthday. But we do remember the experiences that we've had in life. And so coming back from COVID, our children were just saying that they needed more, that they were dealing with a lot emotionally and mentally. And so I've always shared with my sorority programs like this. But Rockdale didn't have a program that was geared towards our young ladies in the debutante experience. So I wanted to create a program that would fill in the gap. So that way they could have etiquette courses, they can go through cultural and arts, as well as learn fine dining and so forth, but culminate with the debutante ball for that type of experience. So that's what the debutante ball was all about. And through that program, I believe that they learned to be advocates for themselves and learned about final womanhood, but they were able to talk on the Capitol steps about issues and concerns that were near and dear to them. And the whole purpose was just to make sure that they can come into their own and that they understand how to advocate for themselves, but two, how to go into society and be all that they could be.
Wow, that is amazing. You a bad sister.
You're a bad brother.
I try to be, but you a bad sister because to have that type of impact and to have that show that type of leadership and teach those type of skills to our young ladies today is very important. Now you are a mother. I believe you're a single mother. You are an executive in your daily career. You are the president of the PTA. You are the founder and the CEO of Showtime. And then I know for a fact you're involved in a whole bunch of other things. How do you do it?
Nothing but God. Nothing but God. And then I think with anything that you do, for me, you got to have some hope somewhere. I think that's what being limitless is all about. You got to have some hope. So I do have a lot of faith. I talked about earlier, my parents and so forth. I think they placed in me early on that foundation of believing and so forth, because you can't be any of those things that you mentioned without having a belief system that's going to propel you forward. And so I honestly believe when you walk with purpose and you allow God to lead you, you can't go wrong. And so I think that's where my purpose come from, my drive, my ability to help people and encourage and inspire. It comes from Him. So that's where it starts and ends for real.
And it starts and ends there, but in between, I'm going to add something.
Okay.
Because people are listening to you right now. They're watching this podcast, and some people are just hopeless. And even if you're a female, you may feel like, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I'm single parent. I have these kids. What I'm hearing from Melissa is, in addition to God, who's the beginning and the ending, she's also intentional in making sure you're making a difference. You have to work, so you work. But these are volunteer programs and that you're a part of. Your nonprofit is just that. It's a nonprofit. I mean, obviously you need to make some profit to try to move things forward, but you're being intentional in a lot of what you do to help make a difference in the lives of young people. So I think that's great. I met Melissa through a program called Leadership Rockdale.
Yes.
And I'll never forget it, because Melissa remembered the other version of Derrick, because when I met her, that's the version that she saw. I was about 150 pounds more a couple of years ago. And we hit it off very well, but it was after I whipped her really bad in spades. So, Melissa, talk to us about, that may sound a little petty, but it did happen. So talk to us about the experience of Leadership Rockdale, and because we became very good friends from that, but there were other bonds being made, and I just thought it was so. Again, when you keep hearing me say impactful, I'm being intentional in saying impactful because Melissa coined that we were the Leadership Rockdale class of 2022 was the most impactful class. So I'm coining that on purpose. But talk to us a little bit about how that program helped you become a better leader, a better person.
So I think even before, which was the reason that I was chosen for the program, was because there was already something in each of us that were chosen to participate that we bring to the table. And I think programs like Leadership Rockdale allows us the great opportunity of networking. I think most programs, just like the podcast, the reason and the purpose is so that you can network and make something better for someone else. Because even when you were talking about all those experiences, the purpose is to make life a little bit better for someone else.
That's right.
So Leadership Rockdale gave us an opportunity, all of us, an opportunity to get to know people that we probably didn't know on a more personal and professional basis. It allowed us to assess personalities and really see how we can help each other more personally and professionally. So it opened the door for a lot of us to be able to call and say, hey, I need you to do this here, or can you lead and guide me in another shape or form? And I do think that when we join organizations, whether that's a church, whether that's a group, that we need to be impactful. Impactful shouldn't just be an adjective. It should be a word or a verb that we use it to work, whatever our gifts are. And so Leadership Rockdale allowed all of us an opportunity to meet new people, to work in our gifts, and we all bring something different to the table. And talking about gifting, I really don't remember that big beating. Like you said, yeah. So, but, we can always have a rematch.
That's right.
But yeah, Leadership Rockdale brought a group of people together that probably never would have come together.
That's right.
Through the diversity of the program. It was a wonderful experience, and here we are today because our spirits really aligned.
That's right. And it's interesting you say that, because from my vantage point, people ask me all the time, how is it that you have how did you even have time to write a book? How do you have time? You're a corporate executive. I know your schedule is jacked up because I can never get in contact with you. How do you have time to do all the other things? One of the reasons why I'm so happy that you're on, and even some of the other guests that I've had on this program, is because all of us are wearing multiple hats. There is no way you're going to be limitless, and hear me well. It's going to be hard to be limitless if you stay in a lane only.
Right.
You're going to have to wear multiple hats to get to your limitless goals. And that's what you're demonstrating. Leadership Rockdale taught us how to, as leaders, wear multiple hats and still keep things moving. We had to do projects. We had to do, we every once a month, we took a whole day out of our schedule to really be exposed to different aspects of the county. And it built a bond, but it built accountability and more skills and training. What is next for Melissa Mims? You have so much going on now. I'm curious to know. You tell me it's an open-ended question, but if you don't get, if I don't hear the type of, I'll drill it a little bit more. But just tell me, what's next for Melissa Mims? What else is on the agenda?
Oh, well, right now we're really busy. You talked about me being the public relations director. This is March Madness for the county right now. So I'm probably working on, last week we just finished with about 3 projects, just launched a new website. We have the Chairman's State of the County coming up in about 2 weeks. So we have about 3 more projects before the end of the month. So with work, it's extremely busy right now. We talked about my children earlier. It's very important that I take on a very active role in their lives. So my daughter is a rising senior. I have a son that's a senior in college. And one that plays football team. So right now, I'm just trying to be the best mom and support that I can be for the school system. Trying to help the football team raise money. No matter how many hats you wear, you still have to realize what's important in your lives, and they're very important in my life. So helping them maneuver through this next year, whether that's my daughter's going for captain of the cheer squad. So helping her in that role, helping my son launch his business. So just trying to be a good mom right now, but I'm also in the process of planning a me vacation. For real. So that's next on the horizon. I can see that in the future really, really soon. A breakaway.
Now, with everything you have going on, you just dropped something and you hit it and it kept going, but I'm about to bring you back.
Okay, bring it back.
You just said helping your son launch his business. Which son and what's the business?
So actually, I have 2 sons doing 2 multiple things. So my son is a graphic illustrator. That's his major at Kennesaw University. So he's launching a comic book. He said he's bringing comics back to life. So he'll be done in about 2 weeks with his comic book. And then my other son launched a clothing line called Devoted Youth. He feels as though the students need something to motivate them towards their cause. So his business is Devoted Youth, and he actually, the school system in the chamber, they have this flex program similar to Shark Tank, where the students can submit an application. And so he was one of the top 10 for that. And then from there, they'll launch their campaign, their everything about their business, and the top 3 will present like Shark Tank, and then they'll have a winner from there. So that's what he's doing. Yeah.
That is huge.
Yes.
Dynamic, Mom. Yeah. That's a lot going on.
It's a lot going on.
On top of everything. You need I need that vacation.
It's a lot.
And this keeps me, when I hear stories like yours, it really keeps me balanced. It keeps me balanced because there are times I sit back and I'm like, wow, I have so much going on. I'm so busy. But at the end of the day, even though I'm a mentor to others, I am still really responsible for making sure Derrick is on point with everything. You and others, you're responsible for making sure your children are balanced in addition to yourself, in addition to all of your many projects. So you really should be proud of that.
Thank you.
One last question I have. I saw that I autographed your book. Thank you for supporting me. Limitless. Thank you. I do appreciate that. What are you looking to get, knowing me and just what you know, what are you looking to gain out of the book Limitless?
So, one of the things, even when we were talking earlier, and I think no matter how busy we are, relationships matter. Hence the reason that I'm here today, and all of your guests have been here because they value you and your relationship. So with Limitless, I know the person that I met. I know the man that is still here before me today. And one of the things that I was really inspired about was just your zeal for life. No matter your size and the transformation that you've made, that personality has always been big. That personality has always been a winning personality. And so I haven't read the book yet, but I want to know what drives you, what brought about the change, the transformation that incurred. And so I'm excited to learn, more about Derrick, what drives you and some of that drive to push me forward, because we can always use more motivation in our lives or whatever. So.
Well, I am looking forward to hearing your reviews about the book. We're at the end. We got through it, and just let me tell you, Melissa, she was a little nervous at first.
Very.
She was a little nervous, but this went quite well. Any closing remarks for you?
For anybody that's watching the show, you can be whatever you want to be. Behind every no, there's a yes.
That's right.
Keep pushing, keep inspiring. You can be great. You are great. It doesn't matter what anybody say. It doesn't matter what it looks like. The sun will shine again. Keep pushing, because somebody is depending on you.
Wow. And this is why Limitless, this podcast, is so important. First of all, thank you, Melissa, for being my guest today. You heard of someone who epitomizes what Limitless is all about. Your potential is limitless. All we heard were limitless opportunities this entire episode. We heard from someone who nothing was given to her. She is out here working day and night to do what she has to do, not just for herself, but for her family, and she's doing it intentionally. That is what Limitless is about. So if you're watching today, I hope you learned something from Melissa. I hope if you have not gotten my book yet, go to Amazon, get Limitless. If you have YouTube, you can follow me on YouTube. Go to my website, mylimitlessgrowth.com. Get the book. Remember, your potential is limitless. And I say this at the end of every one of the podcasts, so I'll say it again. If you're listening to me and you're thinking, you know what, I don't need motivation, I don't need inspiration because I have it all together, I'm sure you do, but you know someone that don't. So go ahead on and get the book for them and be a blessing to somebody else. Limitless, thank you, Melissa, again. Have a good one.